Okay, it's 12:02. I know there's more people that are going to be joining us, but I also want to be respectful of time and the fact that my headphones might not last this whole meeting. So I'm going to get us started. I'm going to share my screen just to start sharing the presentation, and we'll go over a couple, I guess, housekeeping items, if you will. Okay. So hopefully everyone can see that. You are here today for the virtual town hall, Plan New Hampshire's virtual town hall. This is our third year doing this event virtually. So hopefully all goes just as smooth as the other years. Definitely want to thank our event sponsors, because without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to have all these events throughout the year. Even virtual events have costs associated, as many of you know. A few housekeeping items that I want to just throw out there. Stephanie from our board is going to be monitoring the chat. So if you do have questions during this time, please feel free to type those in. We will also be having a dedicated time for Q&A and discussion. So you can hold on to them. You can type them in now, however whatever you're comfortable with. I thought a nice thing people could do, though, is maybe in the chat, throw in, your name, your organization, and maybe what city you're joining us from today, since we are virtual, but it's nice to know where people are. And that's just a nice way to kind of see who else is in the room. I know a lot of people know each other in New Hampshire, so might not be super necessary for everyone, but I think it's a helpful thing. So feel free to just start throwing that into the chat at any point. And one other item is just please keep yourself muted. I think we're 2 years into the pandemic, so I think people know, keep yourself muted unless you're speaking, just to try and help with any doggos, toddlers, ambulances driving by. So really quickly, what we're going to do today is meet the board, meet the staff, talk about the upcoming year, discuss some of the member feedback we received in a recent feedback survey that we put out there in January, and have some Q&A and discussion. So that's just our brief agenda. We'll be out of here before 1. And while many of you are very well aware of Plan New Hampshire, we've been around since 1989, I think it's really good to always go over the basics. And I think that's something, my predecessor Robin did too. I think it's important to remember, who we are. So our vision at Plan New Hampshire is one of healthy and vibrant communities across the state. And many of you are probably well aware that our mission is really to foster excellence in planning, design, development, in the built environment for New Hampshire. So that's the work that you all are involved in every day. And the way that we do that is sharing information, providing networking opportunities for people in the field, and just trying to make sure that our programs that we run are contributing to the community design, built environment, and everything that we do here in New Hampshire to make it a great place to live, work, and play. I am going to turn it over to Brian real quickly as our board president to introduce himself and just who the executive board is, and then I'll take it back. So I won't put you on the spot too long, Brian, but.
All right, thank you, Tiffany. Again, she mentioned Brian Garris. I'm current president, Plan New Hampshire, principal and project manager with Milestone Construction, and I wanted to welcome everybody today to this event. It's a great way to get reconnected with people. We're excited to get the events flowing again this year and try to get some things back to normal. I want to thank everybody for their time today, especially to support everybody for our organization, and really appreciate you getting involved with our event today. The executive board that we have shown up there on the screen, of course, myself, that current president, Amanda Savage is vice president, Left Branch Construction, Kelly DeMore is our treasurer, Nathan Wessler, and Caroline Corvo is our secretary. We got a great group. We've done a lot of work in the last couple of years to build up the board, expand the board, and we've got an A-class team that we're pushing this Plan New Hampshire project program forward with. Very excited to see where this goes. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Now, here's the rest of our board. We have a pretty large board. We have 19 board members, and I'm told New Hampshire's a small community, so I'm sure many of you recognize these faces, names. We're always looking for new interested people too, so I have to throw that plug out there if it's something you think you would like to contribute to. So thank you to our board members. I have to say, coming from a lot of different nonprofit organizations, the board here is very active and it's really wonderful. So quick thank you to the board, because what we do at Plan really couldn't happen without very active board members and committee members. So thank you all. Myself, many of you have almost been here 6 months, but I'm sure many of you haven't met me yet, or you've only met me virtually, which is sad, but is just, you know, the times that we're in right now. I moved here in the summer with my family, originally because my spouse took a job at UNH and he's a professor there. And I started with Plan in September. So quite new on the job. I was fortunate enough to be able to work with Robin for several months, just shadowing her and absorbing all that institutional knowledge. So that was really wonderful. And we still are working together a bit still. So it's been great. And in the middle of the time that I've been here, which is about 5.5 months, I also was on maternity leave. So welcomed a second little one into our household. So there's been a lot going on in this short time, and I still have a lot to learn about New Hampshire and Plan New Hampshire. But I'm really enjoying it, and I look forward to continuing to meet our members, especially in person, you know, later this year, I hope. I'm also gonna introduce everyone to Cecilia and actually ask her to introduce herself real briefly. She is our part-time membership coordinator, and I'm sure a lot of you have received emails from her because she does a lot of the follow-up and ongoing communication with members. So Cecilia, if you want to unmute yourself real briefly and let us know a little bit about you.
So what I'd like to let you know, my name is Cecilia Azzi, grew up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I live in Rye at this time, so it's a good place to live. So I wanted you to know, though, that although I started my time at Plan New Hampshire last April, I've known about the organization since its earliest days. My husband is Victor Azzi, was a university professor, campus planner, and university architect, and one of the earliest members representing the university and serving on the Plan New Hampshire board. So I've been to meetings in the past, and it's so happy to be a part of it now. But I also wanted to say that what I've found myself at Plan New Hampshire is an astounding group of members. And I can say that over and over again. They give their time, they share their knowledge, provide ideas, serve on committees, offer solutions. And I think with every day, I just have more and more respect for the members of Plan New Hampshire. So thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Cecilia. Cecilia's been wonderful in like helping me understand the local area, local politics. She's so great with individuals and just creating connections and relationships. So it's perfect fit with working with our membership. So thank you, Cecilia. My slides, there we go. And again, a special thank you to our sponsors. So Millstone Engineering and Construction, H.L. Turner Group are sponsoring this event. We really appreciate that, and we are always looking for sponsorship in the future. I thought it was best if Brian didn't have to thank his own organization, but we really appreciate all their support, you know, not just through this event, but they're big supporters throughout the year. And now to the meat of things. First of all, welcome our new members. So these are all the new members who joined us in 2021, as well as GZA joined us this January. So either brand new in 2021, or perhaps they took a few years off and returned to the Plan New Hampshire community. So thank you to these organizations and individuals. As you can see, they're from all different parts of New Hampshire. And we really just appreciate the membership growing. And we want to also give a special shout out to GPI, who have been longtime members and supporters. And this past year, they increased their membership from gold to platinum. And that is a big help to our organization. And so we really thank them. And I had to use my favorite little emoji to celebrate GPI and our new members. So what I want to do is look back a little bit at 2021, slightly ironic since I wasn't here for most of it, but that's okay. And then look forward into 2022 and share some of our goals, as well as some of the things we have planned. So last year, many of you were involved in these things, so I might not be telling you things you knew, or I might be telling you things you already know, but just as a recap, virtual was our reality still. So we had a very successful virtual networking event, virtual town hall event, and all of our workshops last year were virtual. But we had a lot of great feedback from them and really good attendance. And we really appreciated being able to, I don't know, just maintain our audience and everything during that time and make sure that we were providing what members were looking for during these like strange years. We were able to bring, by virtual means, Jeff Speck in to speak for New Hampshire Gives Day. I think that's a pretty big deal, and kudos to Robin for being able to get him involved, especially for the planners out there. I think that was really awesome that he could be here, and probably without virtual, that might not have been possible, just financially speaking. And then we were able to start moving into hybrid and in-person events. The awards night was a hybrid event that also got some really good feedback. I know it was a little stressful to the organizers because hybrid events can be a lot of unknowns can happen during a hybrid event, but it went really well, I'm told. And then we moved to in-person. And so my first event was the member thank you event in August. And so I did meet some of you. And I think for a lot of people, that was a first in-person event. It went really well. And then our golf classic was able to be in person. I don't know how we would have done that virtually. And we had 2 community charrettes in October. So the town of Wolfboro and Castle in the Clouds, we were able to do those. We masked and socially distanced, but we had 2 very successful charrettes, and those reports will be up on our website soon. So that's just a brief summary of last year. Moving forward, I wanted to share a few goals, operational goals, membership goals, and program goals. So operationally, for myself, I'll still be orienting and observing and really learning from a lot of our programs that some of them only happen one or 2 times a year if they're kind of seasonal. And so it's important to me to really see how they go before I start coming in with a lot of strong ideas about changes. I am looking to streamline some administration, strengthen some of our committees, especially fundraising and membership. And then we have some committees that, again, are seasonal. So golf and merit awards, those committees will be kicking off. And if you're interested, let us know. And then, of course, looking to maintain and grow revenue, which I'm sure many board members would probably say is one of my most important jobs. So those are some of the internal goals. For membership, we're looking to, first and foremost, improve our processes. So it's actually amazing to me what Robin and Plan's been able to do over the years, basically on an Excel spreadsheet. It's wonderful. And we're looking to take that to the next level this year with a whole CRM like database, which will help us on our end, but also hopefully help our members in terms of streamlining communication, renewals, and just various aspects of membership that hopefully will feel smoother to everyone. We'll continue sharing resources with our members, wanting to connect members with each other, as well as highlighting members, of course, every step of the way through our programs, whether it's as speakers, as moderators, sponsors, et cetera. And then, wanting to provide the content, the continuing education credits that some of our members need and like to see, as well as some of the after hours and networking events that are a favorite for many people. To focus on membership for a moment, I just wanted to also look at who are our members. So right now we have 65 active member organizations. And within each of those memberships, there could be anywhere from 1 to 6 individuals who we connect with under that membership, but memberships are based on the organization. So that's where we're at number wise. And then, as you all are aware, our members are from all aspects of the community development field, whether it's civil engineering or nonprofits like New Hampshire Housing. And I think we benefit a lot from that interdisciplinary membership that we have. And it's really wonderful to see, even in the short time that I've been here. We recently did a membership feedback survey, and we just asked about 10 or 11 questions, and these are just some of the highlights for the respondents. We had a pretty good response from folks. We did this through Constant Contact, but we also had it on some of our social media, and some of the things were about things we've already been doing, some of the questions, and some were about things maybe we could do if people are interested. So one of those ideas was a community-based tour, and we just wanted to know if people are interested in that idea. A lot of folks are, virtual has been quite convenient for a lot of people, but we wanted to see if there was an appetite to visit specific communities and see what's going on there. And 84% of respondents were interested or very interested in that. At least 32% of our respondents do say that CEU credits are important. Of course, not everyone in our membership requires those, but we're going to keep providing them as much as possible for the planners, the architects out there, and folks who can benefit from that aspect of our programming. And I was really happy to see that 100% of respondents were satisfied or very satisfied with their membership. I'm sure there's like a little sampling there. Maybe folks who aren't satisfied didn't do the survey, but we want to hear from everyone because we really do want to keep improving. And some of the things we heard, people added some just quotes and comments into the survey, positive things about the organization, people letting us know that they're not quite comfortable being in person yet, perhaps, or asking us to do a little bit more outside of, for example, like the Seacoast area. So when we are in person, how can we make sure we're in different parts of New Hampshire and a little bit more accessible for folks who do want to come in person. Which leads us to programs, because programs are directly related to our membership, and we want to make sure that our programs resonate with membership, both the topics, the formats, and also that the programs are fit to the times. What's important right now in the state of New Hampshire that people need to be talking about with each other, need to be learning about, et cetera. We will be easing into in-person. We're very hopeful to be going in person in the summer, and right now we have things scheduled that way. But we do hear people, and right now is not quite the time. But hopefully by summer, we will be able to see people face to face, and we're going to continue highlighting our members. We want to start combining content and networking events together in one event. So an example of that is the community tour that people said they were very interested in. We're going to be going to Bristol in July, the town of Bristol, and we're going to see what has sort of transpired since the charrette program that we did there many years ago and what came of it, and get a tour of the community. But then at the end of that event, have beverages together and network and just talk about what we saw and enjoy each other's company. So that's something we want to do in response to what we heard from members. And if it goes well, and if we get a good feedback after that, maybe it's something we would do every summer. And then we'll continue providing continuing education credits as we are able. Some of the events we have planned right now: in March, we have a workshop on housing. That workshop's you can already register for it. And so you might have already seen information about it, but you'll be seeing more. And that's going to be featuring George Regan and then Harrison Kanzler. So they'll be speaking about housing and what is going on right now and how it's connected to the economics that's going on in small towns, big towns across New Hampshire, whether we're talking about workforce, quote unquote, or affordable, quote unquote, or all these different ways of speaking about housing. We know it's a big topic right now. And so that's going to be a really great event. We'll still be doing New Hampshire Gives Day, our awards banquet, which we do annually, the charrette tour and social that's going to be in Bristol, as I mentioned, that's going to be in July. And we're going to continue with our member thank you event, which is sponsored directly by our board members. And in the fall, we have one charrette lined up right now with the town of Tilton, which is really exciting. We hopefully have a couple others that are in the wings, but I don't want to say for certain yet since they're still in process. And if people are interested in volunteering on those design charrette teams, please let us know. It's really fun. I'm sure many of you have been a part of it. And I was fortunate to be a part of the Wolfboro one in October, and it was really energizing and wonderful. We are going to start getting involved in Parking Day this year. One of our board members, Jamie Simchek, is really passionate about planning and development and, on the pulse of all those events that are related to that area of our work. And so we're pretty excited to be dipping our toe in there. And we're going to return to our fall conference, which in the past, my understanding is it was a 2-day conference. We're going to take that down to 1 day, but in person, and hoping to still make it really meaningful and just do it in 1 day rather than 2. And we'll have our golf classic again in Concord. So we're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for sponsors, and as well as ideas about programs. If you feel there's something that Plan could be doing that we're not, please let us know. What can members do to support Plan? Obviously, the good news is you're already doing it, your members. Other ways are to contact us and set up recurring donations, sponsor an event, stay connected. Our members are sometimes the way that we find out about current events in the field, in the industry, or things that are going on with your organization that should be celebrated. Let us know. We like to share those things on our social media feeds as well, on our blog. You can volunteer with us. It's a big part of what we do. Like I said, Plan couldn't do what it does without active board members and committee members. And so those are all volunteers, and please feel free to join us. And then of course, refer new members, always looking to grow the Plan community. That's all I have today. In terms of presenting, we're going to answer questions or have discussion, however folks would like to approach this. You can use the chat box, you can raise your hand. For the sake of seeing each other, I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that we don't have to look at the member Q&A slide. There we go. Oh, now I can see most of you. A lot of you don't have your camera on. That's okay. Feel free to turn it on if you'd like to. Stephanie, did we have any questions while we were going along?
We did not, but a lot of people did share their information. So I highly recommend taking that and downloading it or tucking it away somewhere safe, because you never know when you might need it.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice to see all the cities people are coming in from. I couldn't look at that at the same time as presenting, but Deerfield, Manchester, Concord, North's down the hall from me, in Portsmouth here. Well, does anyone have any, hi North, have any questions or any comments? And also I want to open it up for board members who are here to, pop on, and if you want to share something.
Well, we do have one question now.
Oh.
They asked when this fall is the Tilton Charrette expected to start?
Yeah, so the Tilton Charrette is going to take place in Tilton in September on the 23rd and 24th. North, if you wouldn't mind jumping in, could say more about when, if you wanted to join the process team, like when that would start.
Yeah, the call for participants will go out probably beginning of August, end of July this year. We have had a couple of starts and stops with these guys due to the pandemic. So we want to make sure that we're confident in the dates and participation levels with the community before we get too far down the road. That unfortunately we had to pull the plug a little late in the game last time. So we're going to be a little more thoughtful about engaging everybody.
We do have another, I don't want to say question, but well, kind of a question. It's from a first-time joiner. Her name is also Stephanie, and she was interested in learning more about what our organization does. It's actually her first time attending one of our meetings. So I feel like we went over like, you know, surface level of it, but I don't know if anyone wants to dive in a little deeper.
Does a board member want to jump in, or I can also take it? I've been talking a lot, but.
I can jump in quick. I think from a high altitude view, we're kind of work as a nonprofit to be a facilitator of this with different communities to come up with ways that to evaluate and help them grow their communities in a thoughtful process. One of the examples, we have a couple different I guess offshoots of what we do, but MTAG is an example of an offshoot of that, where we help facilitate funds for towns and communities that want to rework their zoning and coordinate, make it a better, more appealing place for people to develop and come in with housing. And we work with them to help facilitate funds with backing from New Hampshire Housing. And it's just a way to, to help the community adjust so that the housing crisis everybody's hearing about can be handled in certain ways. But there's a number of other things we do through the Charette program that North had talked about, an event where we go in and do an evaluation of a particular section of their town or city. And we have a whole charrette program, 2 to 3 day process, depending on the visits. And they work through kind of put together a whole booklet of how that is what the ideas were, what the suggestions are, and it helps the town to come up with some fresh ideas on how to rework certain areas of town, but also gives them options so that we're not dictating what they should do, just giving them some opinions. I don't know, North, if you had anything you wanted more to add to that.
Well, I think what's cool about this organization is that we have impact in a lot of different ways. So what you're talking about, Brian, is absolutely an important part of what we do. We recognize successes through our merit award program, which is an annual award and is not, it's oftentimes confused with design awards, but it's really more about community impact and what people around the state have done to make a difference in a positive way in our communities. And then our sort of the initial program, the reason that plan was formed in the first place, started with our scholarship program, which every year awards a number of deserving New Hampshire-based students who are pursuing careers in environment, engineering, architecture, landscape architecture, studio arts, engineering. We have, I think last year it was 11 students were awarded scholarships. It's a very robust program. So I think one thing I was going to add to just sort of the general appeal is there are lots of different ways to get involved if you're interested in getting involved. All of our committees, membership, merit, scholarship, golf, charrette, I'm sure I'm going to miss a bunch. We're looking for contributions, and fresh blood brings fresh ideas. I think the worst thing we can do is sort of get comfortable with the idea that we've always done things a certain way. So getting some fresh insights would be huge. And if you're interested in getting involved, I would suggest reaching out to Tiffany, and she can point you in the right direction.
North, just one more thing off what you're saying with volunteers and getting involved. I think it's a great opportunity for somebody that's interested in plan, not at a position where they'd want to get up to their neck in the board, but they could get involved with a certain committee, which would help them get exposed to the process, understand what's involved, and be able to kind of understand which area they might potentially down the road want to get focused on with board, to become on the board, or just be involved in the organization in general. We have a lot of volunteers with the golf events and the different charrettes. That there's no permanent tie downs with that, but it gets everybody involved and gets your companies involved. The people that are backing you for employment can get involved with sponsorships and have their name associated with a lot of the nonprofit work that we do.
Absolutely.
And I just put my email as well as Cecilia's into the chat, and our website, plannh.org, for anyone who's just looking for more information, because we do have a lot of great information on there. So thank you for that question. And that actually prompts me to launch this poll that I did not launch at the beginning, which is first asking, well, this is mainly for members. We know that some people are joining us today who are not members, which is wonderful. So just curious who's here. And I'm just watching like the responses come in. I'll leave it open a couple more seconds. And okay, it looks like most people have responded. So you should all be able to see that. So,
Yeah.
So we have about 33% of folks here today are not members yet, I would like to add. So that's really good to know. And if I would have done this at the beginning, like my plan was, it might have changed a little bit about how I spoke. But thank you for responding to that.
We can fix that offset real quick with a visit to the website and
Yeah.
sign up while we're talking.
Yes. For people, oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was just say one of the other big events that we're bringing back, and you mentioned earlier, was the fall conference, and that's always was a big event that we had. It was a 2-day event, but I think with everything going on, we've decided to shrink that down to a single day, which is essentially the main event would be all in one day. It ends up bringing in sponsors. It's kind of like a trade show type atmosphere with speakers and events, and it's really an idea of everybody getting together and being able to share what they do and hear about the current topics and things around. We've in the past brought in national speakers for those events, and they always were very successful and great to be at. I think with everything going on, we had to pull back on those for a couple of years, but we are very excited to get that going this fall.
One other question I did want to ask for people who have been involved with plan, past or present, in what ways you've been involved. You can answer, you can respond to more than one of these choices if you're like, all of them is relevant, but just a nice way to know too. I've met so many people who used to be a board member and things like that. So it's definitely an organization with a lot of history. So you can kind of see that people have, a lot of people have volunteered or attended an event, and then several like committee board members. That's nice to see. Some others, maybe that's like the networking. I don't want to put you on the spot, Heather, but do you want to say anything about programming? Well, we do have, I know not everyone's a member, but we have a lot of members in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a small but mighty committee this year, and we are definitely looking for other committee members from our membership outside the board. We'd just like to have some different perspective on how we approach our programming. We have some really exciting things coming up this year. We're trying to limit the events just because I think everybody's a little burnout from all the Zoom calls and everything, but we're really looking forward to some networking events coming up. We had to postpone our thank you event due to most recent strain of COVID, but we are going to be putting that back on the calendar at some point when people are a little more comfortable, maybe an outside event. And we're always looking for new ideas. If you don't have the ability to join a committee, don't ever hesitate to reach out to us with ideas or suggestions. We're always open to new thoughts and ideas of how to approach programming, subject matter. I mean, whatever. Don't ever hesitate not to reach out. We're always here.
Thanks, Heather. And I see a hand raised. Yes.
Stu Arnett.
Hi. If I could just jump in also as a longtime member, mainly in the charrette world, we're talking about what we do, but for us, and I just want to point out what we do for the communities that we do the charrettes for. It tends to be a real kick in the, you know what, for some communities that are otherwise stuck. It's done in a way that involves them, usually in a kind of a social pizza and evening presentations and walk around Saturdays, and typically we hope to have some fun when we do it, but I'm in the implementation side, and I can name 3 or 4 communities that use the charrettes as a way of getting some people together in a room that could agree on something, and then over time either made that happen or something similar to it. So as we're talking about what we do, we also want to, I think, want to point out plans had some very good success of making some good things happen and getting people organized in the field. So that's it. I'm sticking with it.
Thank you. I think that's a great point because, well, I'm talking a lot about what we do for our members. Our members do a lot for the mission. I mean, that's really what brings us all together. And having only participated in one charrette so far, but it really was wonderful. And to see how much that's able to help bring that community together and help propel them from, you know, where they're at to like going through a whole visioning process and then moving forward into what they're going to do based off of that. It's really wonderful. And we're able to do that in a very low cost way, thanks to the expertise, professional expertise of our members who come in and give their time and their blood, sweat, and tears and their skills. It's really wonderful. We have a lot of those reports on our website if you haven't seen them or haven't been involved in that part of our work, and they're really fun to look at. So I definitely recommend it.
Tiffany, just one thing on that. I did want to stress the fact that the point you made about the cost effect of how we approach that is, for a small community, the amount of benefit you get out of that charrette program for a 2 to 3 day event, the value of that is substantial. If you were to go to hire these people on an individual basis and have that for a very low fee to come in and do that for a community on that basis is substantial. And it's that point, like Stu made a comment, it's just enough to get a community over the hump on a project that they just couldn't find the design efforts up front. It helps get them rolling, and then they can take it from there and go the conventional route. But it really stems the new ideas, and it's a cost-effective way to get things started. So that's one of our main focuses.
And the nice thing is it's not free. So they have some skin in the game. They have to raise some money. And it's not a ton, what's $1,000 or $1,500 or something like that, depending on what the current rules are and stuff. But it's not a freebie. So local people have to, make the dinner and have to open the hall. And so there's some skin in the game from the community. And so it often has a kickoff effect that other just kind of program people coming in saying, we're experts, we're here to tell you things. And not being an architect or a construction company or a couple of other fields there, I think it's always impressive when the community groups come in, and I think the members of the charrettes are always impressed when you have so many competitors working around the same table for the benefit of that community. I think it always surprises people that you have 2 or 3 construction company guys there or 2 or 3 architects there and stuff. And I think it's a great message to people going, oh, okay, I guess you guys actually are kind of looking out for us. And I'm guessing it's one of the times where the peers can talk to each other without it being at a pre-proposal table or something.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to even the way our board is made up. There's a number of multiple companies from the same trade that are on, architects, engineers, construction managers. That we're all here for the right reason, and we work as a team on that as part of the benefits of plan.
Megan, do you have a question too? I see your hand, your virtual hand.
Hi, yes, I did. Although hearing your discussion back and forth, and thank you, Stephanie, for asking that, because this is also my first time joining one of these virtual meetings. So hearing how to get involved and just how to volunteer, who to reach out to, that's a big one. And I think you guys have been talking about it a little bit, but one of my other questions was essentially, what stage does Plan New Hampshire usually enter on projects that are ongoing, or is it usually initial stage kicked off by Plan New Hampshire, the community reaching out saying like, hey, yep, we definitely want to improve something, we want to work towards something, and they reach out to you and you guys step in? Or is it, you know, individual clients who are maybe putting in a new building or a new development, and then they reach out and they say, hey, we're going to do this, but we also want to be involved in the community. Plan New Hampshire, can you? So things like that. What step in a process of, you know, when you first hear about it to execution, do you guys usually enter?
Do you want to jump in on that, North, or anyone, Stu, or anyone who's been involved?
Well, I think
For
what
the
I would-
charrettes program,
Yeah,
I
for the
guess
charrettes.
specifically.
Yeah. You know, it's what I find really rewarding about the charrette program is that we use people from, you know, we use people that are have the skill sets that are unique to the community we're working in, but we also use people who are really, you know, there to learn and contribute in a different way. So, you know, the first call for volunteers will go out to membership. And so if you are a member, you're going to hear about it basically automatically. I think that if you're not a member, but you were to let Tiffany know that you've got an interest in contributing, there's an opportunity to get involved there as well. Am I answering your question?
Well, and I
at
think
all?
part of it's
Yeah.
like, when do we come in? Well, it's
Right.
really a visioning process.
Yeah.
Our
Right.
charrette program is at the visioning stage, I would
Yeah. Okay.
say.
May I
Yeah.
just
I was going to follow up
multitasking, I'm afraid.
on her. Yeah, her specific question, Megan. I think you're referring to when would you get involved? We would really are going directly with towns and communities, towns, cities that reach out. There's an application process for that. They basically, these are towns or communities that are basically hitting a wall and looking for a little help to get something rolling on that. They reach out and we go through a review process and talk with them and come up with a plan. We're not here to run a job or to facilitate a specific project. It's more of a community development review and an organization of thoughts on what your opportunities are. And that's where that comes. We've had a few that are not typical state towns or cities. They were organizations that had, you know, large trusts of land and stuff like that, where they wanted to get some ideas on how they should manage the respect of that piece of property. But for the most part, it's towns and communities that come to us. They say, we got a bigger vision, we think, or ideas to do something. We don't know what we want to do. We don't have a ton of money to get things rolling. We want to get things started. Then we can generate those funds, and we come in as part of that process. And then we give them a report from the charrette, and then we usually help shepherd them along to get them going. And a lot of times, Bristol, for example, is one that's done 2 of them in their downtown area, and that's one that we're going to go and actually tour and have an event there this year to see the benefits of what they actually went forward and did a lot of the work exactly per the charrette recommendation type of ideas. And we're going to go visit that and see the finished product on a lot of, and they still got more stuff going. But that's an example where somebody can come back, look at the charrette books, and then see it in person of what they took from those items and actually built.
Yeah, in 2015, in North, I think you were on it with some others, but we were asked to do sort of a downtown revitalization plan for the city of Franklin. And I went and, you know, it was a typical, let's look at Main Street, let's look at the Opera House, let's look at we went out to the industrial park and like that. And it was not me. I think it was the architectural wing in North and some of his colleagues that said,
Yeah, actually, I wasn't there.
oh, okay, I'll give you credit though.
Yeah.
You don't have to say that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I just,
but they said, by the way, have you noticed there's a really nice river behind you? And there's some nice mill buildings that look like, you know what, but, and the design, if you go back to 2015, has a park at the intersection of the two rivers, and it shows little kayaking things and stuff. And everybody said, who in the world is gonna, this is stupid. We want you to talk about, you know, walking paths and stuff like that. And if you've noticed, you know, now 6 years later, there is a viable, pretty exciting water park. That concept came out of a charrette. And also one of the attendees there was the regional director of the USDA out of Vermont, New Hampshire. And he said, I'm so impressed with this. I can't write you a check, but if you come back, I'll give you a grant for implementation. And subsequently, they have had a 5-year contract with an implementer, which is why this has happened. So I wouldn't say our batting average is 50 or 500%, but there are more than a few towns where not only did something happen that kept going, but it was not what they thought would happen. And it was because of that kind of creative mix of people who spent a weekend together trying to figure out what to do, perhaps in a different way. So you can take credit for that one when you see it in the unit later again.
Does that help, Megan?
Yes, no, thank you.
Okay,
immensely.
yeah.
Very
I know
cool.
Megan's, she joined in January, so a brand new member. So hopefully as you start getting our newsletters and things, you'll, you know, start to understand our programs more and more. So thank you for joining. Any other questions? Is there a set date for the Bristol tour? That is a wonderful question. There is not yet, but it's going to be in July is the plan. And we're working with the staff there, the town staff, to set that date. So as soon as we have one, we'll definitely be sharing it out there, because I would like to think that will be pretty popular and exciting for folks. A lot of people showed interest in the concept. So now we're gonna test it out.
There's a great brewery that we're going to be hanging out at after as well, if that tempts anybody to join.
That's the content plus fun equals Plan New Hampshire. Any other questions? I don't want to cut questions off by any means, but we also don't have to stay here till 1. So
I think just real quick, Tiffany,
Yeah.
I just want to say, so I don't know, we haven't really talked about this too much yet, but in terms of our committees, like for example, I chair the marketing committee, and I know that we are looking for fresh blood. So if you or anyone that you know is interested in getting involved in these committees, please reach out to us. You can talk to Tiffany. She can get you in touch with the chair of that specific committee, but I know that we are looking for fresh faces, and there is a lot of things that are happening, and it does give you early access to learn about things that are going on within the organization. So take a look through. It's on our website under the About section, and let us know if you have any interest.
Don't be intimidated by the time commitment either. All of our committees meet once a month virtually. There's sometimes a little bit of legwork behind the scenes, but even just being on the calls is sometimes enough, just having perspective and input. So don't feel it's going to be a huge time suck out of your schedule as well.
well, thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us for this town hall. As I said before, our next event will also be virtual in March, and hopefully after that point, we might be able to be in person. But look for our newsletters, go to our website and sign up for the newsletters if you aren't getting them already, or feel free to contact myself or Cecilia. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I hope people were able to mostly eat while we were here together during our lunchtime.
And welcome to New Hampshire, Tiffany.
Oh, thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.